Republicans in Wyoming are trying to outlaw renewable energy. Now, Raw Story reports that while Wyoming is one of the least populous states in the United States, it ends up ranking second in overall energy production. First in coal, fourth in natural gas, and eighth in crude oil, and Republicans want to keep it that way. How so? Well, last week, state legislators, some of whom are actually climate deniers on the record, filed a measure that would effectively outlaw renewable energy by preventing Wyoming utilities from selling electricity generated by wind or solar farms. So they can no longer sell this excess energy. Now, here's the thing, right? Now, currently 90% of the electricity provided to the 500,000 residents of Wyoming comes from coal. However, the leftover electricity Wyoming generates is sold to the rest of the country. Now, selling Wyoming-made solar and wind energy to other states would remain legal if this bill were passed, okay? So what they could do is they could sell to other states, but not to the people in their own state. At least when it comes to selling solar and wind. So they could sell coal to both other states and their own state, but when it comes to solar and wind, they can only sell to other states and not their own citizens. Fascinating. So that doesn't actually help people in Wyoming, but it does help the fossil fuel companies. Now, under this proposal, if a utility provided energy by a large-scale wind or solar plant to Wyoming residents, it would be fined $10 per megawatt sold. Only energy from coal, natural gas, nuclear, hydroelectric, oil, and small-scale privately owned solar panels and wind turbines could be sold without repercussion. So you can't have a large scale. So they're attempting to fight solar energy companies from coming in, or giant wind farms from coming in, and actually challenging the rest of the oil, coal, natural gas trifecta. They don't want any competition. They hate competition. Now, interestingly enough, on the wind that they do have, they actually have a tax on it. Now, I thought Republicans didn't like taxes. Well, it turns out they love this tax. They charge $1 for each megawatt hour of wind energy produced in their state. And look, the wind tax is actually one of the state's only taxes because there is no income tax. Now, you want to guess what happens if you don't have a tax or any sort of tax except for the one on wind? You end up having a giant budget shortfall. There's currently a deficit in 2017-2018 in the state of $156 million. And the state itself, aside from the deficit, is actually in a lot of debt. Now, it turns out Wyoming based most of their economy on revenue from fossil fuels, which of course has fallen dramatically in price. So now they're not getting as much revenue from oil, coal, natural gas, and they want to keep their competitors out so they can continue to get what they can get from the oil, from the fossil fuel companies. Now, that wind tax that I mentioned, the only tax that they have, or one of the only taxes they have other than sales tax, was put in place as an attempt to plug that hole. But in the 4 years since it was put into place, it has only generated $15 million in revenue. And because of that tax existing at all, has negatively impacted wind energy development in that state. So I get it, right? What they're trying to do is that they're trying to save their dying industry. I understand that, right? And they're trying to make up, of course, for the giant tax cuts they gave to businesses and individuals in Wyoming. But still, this is not a good thing. This is government stepping in to try to protect coal, oil, and natural gas. And that is crony capitalism. That's what we call crony capitalism. So, and the sad thing is that they're going against the will of most of the people, including people in Wyoming. I mean, according to recent polls, 9 in 10 Americans favor increased production of solar energy, and 83% of people support the expansion of wind energy. And yet here you have crony capitalism happening that prevents this from actually taking place. Because, look, even Trump supporters, there's a poll out, 75% of Trump supporters, and this was a Republican poll. So it's not like, Public Policy Polling, which is a left-leaning organization, is trying to spin these poll numbers. No, this is a conservative agency that did this poll and found that 75% of Trump supporters were like, yeah, I'm in favor of renewable energy. Sure, let's invest in renewable energy because that seems smart. Because eventually we're going to run out of coal, oil, and natural gas. So let's have something there. Even if you don't care about climate change, and if you're against crony capitalism, then you should be against what's going on here in Wyoming. What we need to do, regardless of how you feel about climate change, we should still invest in renewable energy because it's smart and it doesn't run out and you don't have to import it from Saudi Arabia. So it makes all the sense in the world to invest more in these renewable energies and end this crony capitalism that is trying to save these old dying industries. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation.